Hi folks, and welcome back. Now today I'm going to bring you my thoughts on Iron Danger, and I'm a little bit reluctant to call this a full review because I have to confess I couldn't bring myself to finish the game. I know, that sounds bad, right? It must be terrible. Well, it's not that the game is absolutely terrible, it's that the game is absolutely repetitive, and if there's one thing I dislike more than having to do some hard work that I'm reluctant to take on, it's having to do it a second time because it didn't work the first. But that is literally the premise of Iron Danger. You see, the game is not quite like most things I've seen before. It's described as a tactical combat puzzler with a unique time manipulation mechanic. So if you imagine like a role-playing game where you're going to turn-based combat, something like Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 for example, and then you've got the real-time combat with pause in these sort of games like the original Baldur's Gate or the Alcat Pathfinder games where all the action takes place in real time, but you can quickly pause it to give orders and actions. Iron Danger is kind of like those on a much smaller scale, but you've got real time with pause and rewind, and that is the feature of the game. So you play this character that's had something horrible happen to them. They've been pierced through the heart by this weird time manipulation artifact, which allows you to rewind your heartbeats. Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy, but as you're going through any particular encounter, you're about to step on a trap, oh, bomb, it's gone off in your face, you can just rewind a couple of heartbeats and just move out the way. Oh, there's an arrow going to shoot you in the face, no problem, just rewind, step to one side, arrow goes flying past. That's the premise of the game. So Iron Danger is a fairly short game, and it's a strange sort of a cross between an RPG, a tactical combat, and a puzzler, because there is a puzzle element to try and work out each encounter. Oh, and just for the sake of full disclosure, I was given this copy of Iron Danger by GOG.com for the purpose of this review. Okay then, on to the graphics and sound, and let's start with the visuals, which look kind of nice in the most part. I do like the appearance, I like the cartoon style of them, but there are some flaws with this system, and that is that a lot of things tend to blend into the background. For example, there's loads of little things to pick up, like berries and bread, things like that on the floor. However, you won't see most of them unless you constantly hold down the Alt key, which will then highlight them on the screen. If you weren't holding that down, you would walk right over the top of certainly a lot of the berries. Never noticed, these things are used to get health back, by the way, after fights, if you don't want to use the pause and rewind feature to avoid all the damage. Now, this problem of things blending into the background also happens with some of the enemies who get lost in the undergrowth and you have difficulty seeing them, and most frustratingly also happens with clouds of green poison, which don't look like clouds of green poison at all until you're stood in them and you notice that your health's dropping down. They just look like a green blob of bushes or grass or something like that. Don't really stand out, it's not obvious, and this is made worse by another little feature that we're going to talk about in a moment when we get to the likes and dislikes. Now, the sound is pleasant enough, but I really do like the voiceovers in this game. I think they are well recorded and well performed, and this is quite in contrast to some other low budget games where they have absolutely horrendous voice acting or just production values, like Celeste Crown of the Magister for one, where the voice acting is by and large a joke. But in here, it's actually pretty good. Now, as you might expect from a small game with simple graphics and sound, there's no issues at all with performance, nothing that I came across anyway. Okay then, on to my likes and dislikes, and as always, starting with the good stuff. Boy, is this going to be a short list. Now, I have already mentioned the voiceovers, they were pleasant enough. Yeah, that's one of the positive points. The other thing I actually did like about the game was that this is a really clever idea. Being able to just pause and rewind time and go back a couple of steps just to avoid some incident or to get a block in or to get an extra fight in. I like the concept of this. I think it's a really good idea. It's just not executed very well. And I'm going to explain right now why in the dislikes, of which there are a few. But this game is extremely repetitive, and the encounters tend to go like this. You're wandering along and suddenly some monsters or bandits rush out to attack your two characters. And it's okay, so you're starting to move towards them to get fights in. And then there's an arrow comes towards your face and it hits one of you in the face. Okay, stop, right, pause, rewind a couple of bits. I'm going to block that arrow. That's okay. Restart time. And yes, we've blocked it, but oh god, the other guy's just been hit on the head with a stick. Right, pause. Let's backtrack again to before the arrow hits, because then I also need to put in the commands for the other guy to avoid getting hit by that stick. Play, great, done that, hit the guy over there in the face, Brilliant, hit him. Oh crap, my first character's just stood in the poison cloud. Right, rewind. We'll go and fix that poison cloud. We're going to move them out the way. I need to put the attack back in to hit the other guy in the face with my other character. Right, play. Yep, we've avoided the poison cloud. I've been hit in the face. Oh, I've been shot by an arrow. Pause, rewind. I'll just step backwards out the way for the arrow. We'll make sure that attack still goes in. Right, play. And that's it. And it just goes on and on and on. Every single fight is like that, and you end up redoing the same actions over and over again. It doesn't actually help that there's two characters, because you have to do twice as many rewinds and counter actions to avoid it all, and it just drove me mad to the point where I just could not bring myself to play anymore. So it's a great concept, but the fact that it is used in every single encounter is just too much. It's just way, way too much. And it's not just that it's used in every encounter, it's that every single encounter relies on you backtracking nearly every single step to avoid something or do something. And you don't get any telegraphing of when the enemies are attacking until they've already hit you, and then you rewind it, and then you can see in the half a heartbeat when they hit, and then you have to position the block perfectly at the right time, and quite often you'll put the block in the wrong frame of the action, so you then have to rewind it again to redo it. Meanwhile, that's also cancelled an attack of the other character because that was wrong timed, or it's halfway through this, and then you have to reprogram that. And I'm getting frustrated just thinking about it. Right, enough. I've said it's really repetitive, there's too much redoing the same thing. Let's move on. Something else that I didn't particularly like, and it doesn't help with any of these other features, is that the camera is fixed over the top of your character that you're controlling at the time. You can't pan around, you can't move ahead of the character to see what you're about to walk into. And that is one of the major problems of walking into situations and getting hit, and then you have to rewind. It's also one of the major problems with not being able to see where the damn clouds of poison gas are that are green, blending into the green background with the green bushes. Because you just suddenly walk into something, you're looking around, and you notice one of your characters on half health because you've left them stood in a poison cloud. So then it's like, yep, stop, rewind, see if we can undo that. Let's go back. I couldn't see the damn thing there. And off we go again. So yeah, I think it's silly in a game that revolves around a little bit of like tactical combat, and there's a puzzle element to it, that you can't pan the camera around. Or if you can, then I apologise, but I couldn't find any way of doing it. Maybe that's on me. But that was really limiting, and I didn't like that at all. And the final thing that I'm just going to mention that I didn't like, and it's tied into the previous points I've made, is that every encounter can take an age just because of the amount of repetition, of rewinding to repeat actions, of trial and error to see if the block or the attack goes off at the right time and in the right place and facing the right direction. And it just takes too long and slows the game down too much. Now, I've been told it's a fairly short game anyway, and I couldn't even get through it because it just drove me mad. People have also said that they didn't like the ending. I can't comment on that, so if you want to find out what the ending is, look it up or read some more reviews on Steam. I don't know, because I didn't even get that far. So as you might have guessed, I don't recommend Iron Danger at all. It just wasn't for me. I like the concept, and I would happily play the same sort of thing in a sequel with some of the issues that I've addressed put right. But this title, no, it just wasn't good. If you want to try it out, however, if you want something different, well, firstly, I'd recommend actually playing John Wick Hex, because that's got a lot of similar things, or similar themes to this, and is a lot better done. But if you really want to check out Iron Danger, then you can get it from GOG.com when it's on sale. It'll be on sale for a couple of quid. Might be worth a look if you want to try something different, but on your own head be it. I have warned you. Anyway, folks, that's it for now. If you want to go and check out my playlist of recommended games that I have really enjoyed, I'll link that on the screen now and down below. But otherwise, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.